Okay, let's talk molarity. So, we know the symbol for molarity is capital M. We know the unit for molarity is moles per liter. More specifically, we know that it's moles of solute per liter of solvent. Remember that the solute gets dissolved into the solvent. So if we were making a Kool-Aid solution, for example, Kool-Aid would be the solute and water would be the solvent. The resulting Kool-Aid drink is called the solution. The molarity of that solution is basically the concentration of that solution, which is to say how strong it is. Let's do a few practice problems. Here's a simple one. If 5.3 moles of sodium chloride are dissolved in 2.5 liters of water, what is the molarity of the solution? Oops. All right, so every single problem I ever set up with molarity is always going to involve this equation. Molarity equals moles per liter. In this case, I know how many moles of sodium chloride are used, and I know how many liters of water I'm going to put that sodium chloride in. In this case, 5.3 divided by 2.5 is my problem. 5.3 divided by 2.5, that comes out to be a molarity of 2.12. The unit is moles per liter. All right, so there's a simple molarity problem. Let's do one a little more complicated. This time it says 12.5 grams of sodium chloride are dissolved in 55 milliliters of water. What is the molarity of the solution? It's asking me for molarity, so I'm going to set this up the same way. Molarity equals moles per liter. Now I don't have moles and I don't have liters, but I do have grams and I do have milliliters. I just need to convert those into the correct unit. Okay, I'm going to start with the grams of sodium chloride. I know that I can go from grams to moles very easily using molar mass. The molar mass is the mass of 1 mole. 12.5 grams of sodium chloride. I know that 1 mole of sodium chloride has a mass of so many grams. Whatever number this is going to be right here, that's going to come from the periodic table. So if I look at the periodic table, I can see that sodium has a molar mass of 22.99 grams per mole, and I'm going to add that to the molar mass of chlorine, which is 35.45 grams per mole. That means that sodium chloride has a molar mass of 58.44 grams per mole. If I do this calculation, 12.5 divided by 58.44 comes out to be 0.214 moles. All right, so now I know how much sodium chloride was actually used. And as far as the liters go, I know that 55 milliliters of water are used. So if I know that 1 liter is equal to 1,000 milliliters, in other words, if I had 1,000 milliliters, I would have 1 liter. In this case, I only have 55 milliliters, so I basically have 55 1,000ths of 1 liter. So in other words, I need to move my decimal place over to the left 3 spaces. So in my final calculation, I can say, okay, I know how many moles of sodium chloride are used, and I know how many liters of water. If I do that calculation, that comes out to be a molarity of 3.89. Unit, moles per liter. In other words, 3.89 moles of sodium chloride are dissolved in every liter of water. Next one. This one is just as simple. It just requires a little bit of like 6th grade algebra, so we shouldn't worry about these. We just have to identify what we're given and what we're solving for. Okay, so if we want to make 3 liters of a 6 molar solution of sodium chloride, how many grams of sodium chloride would you have to add? Let's set this problem up just like every other. Molarity equals moles per liter. Let's see, I know the molarity is 6. I know that I want that volume to be 3 liters. The only thing I'm missing, which I want to do in a different color, is the number of moles. Now the problem doesn't give me number of moles, it says how many grams. Okay, so number of moles is my unknown. I want to solve for this part right here. If I want to solve for that, it's like doing this problem. 6 equals x over 3 basically. All right, so if I'm solving for x, I'm just going to multiply both sides by 3. So I know that x equals 18. In other words, I need to add 18 moles of sodium chloride to make that 6 molar solution. But the problem isn't asking me for moles of sodium chloride. It's asking me for grams of sodium chloride. I need to convert this into grams. I know that the mass of 1 mole of sodium chloride, which I calculated on the other problem back here, is 58.44 grams. So if I go back to my current problem, 1 mole is 58.44 grams. Cancel my units. Calculate. 18 times 58.44 grams. That is 1,051.92 grams. So if I want to make a 6 molar solution, and I have 3 liters, which is a pretty substantial amount of water there, that's like 1.5 2-liter bottles, of course, I would have to add 1,051.92 grams of sodium chloride in order to make that solution. Okay, there is simple molarity for you.